Welcome back to the channel, guys, and today we're doing some Sand Devil's Necropolis. Now, I want to know, before we actually dive too deep into the Sand Devil's Necropolis, I've really spent so much time working on this team that I think you guys will like, but I want to know, are you all farming this? If you guys see a team that's reasonable to build, are you actually going to go out and do it, or are you going to spend your energy in one of the 10 million different places we can spend it? So block off this part. Are you farming just these dungeons over here, the Potion Keeps and the Iron Twins Fortress, or are you actually trying to jump into and farm some of the Sand Devil's Necropolis? So for me, the team I'm going to show you guys today is for stage 24, using this rare champion, Muckstalker, who brings a 2-turn duration sleep on a 2-turn cooldown, which is so good, so good. It gives you so much more freedom on the Sand Devil when you have that sleep for 2 turns versus 1 turn from champions like Siphi, champions like, Deathhound, is that his name? Deathhound is kind of difficult to build, to be honest, but he does bring a sleep very consistent on his only ability that he has. But he's squishy, he needs crit rate, needs accuracy, so it's a little bit difficult. But I want to know, are you guys actually going to start farming that? So if you are, then I'll continue doing some videos to continue making some different teams. But if you're not interested, then maybe we won't do no more videos. I'm going to gauge the community response from this video on how I'm going to approach future content. So here we go. Well, future content in Sand Devil's Necropolis. Now with this team, before we actually showcase this, I want to say stage 24, the drop rates on stage 24 are pretty decent. Let me open up Discord real quick and show you all. So if you're trying to go for the bigger potions, then stage 24, 25 are going to be great options, okay? So this graphic, I think, was made by Chosen. Not 100% sure. If you guys know where the link to the actual image is, that'd be great. Right now, I just have this screenshot shared into my Discord, but I don't know where the actual link or the actual source of this is, but I'm pretty sure it's from Chosen. Either way, this is awesome. So if you guys want to check this out, check it out. Shows you your drop rates. Now, this team, the only thing holding it back, really, is Muckstalker being Magic Affinity. If he was not Magic Affinity, then we could do stage 25, which also means that you can do stage 24, 23, 22, 20, 19, 17, 16, any stage that's not Force Affinity, you can run this team on. It shouldn't be any problem whatsoever. Just scale the gearing for whatever stage you need. For example, stage 24, we have 480 resistance, meaning I need to bring 505 accuracy minimum, 265 speed. So for my Revival and Death champions being Mother Cybele, I need her to be at least 265 speed if I have no speed aura, but in my case, I have 24%. Now, before this video, I actually ran 38 runs total. Lost two of them, and this was with Elva in the lead. So Elva brings a 19% speed aura. So I'm gonna see if it brings much of a difference with a 24% speed aura instead. I'm gonna go ahead and enter a match, kind of walk you guys through this, and then hopefully you can see from here. I'll show you guys the speeds, the presets, and everything, and then hopefully if you guys have these champions, you can build this team. So Mother Cybele, whatever Revival and Death champion you bring, make them the fastest, make them open up with that Revival and Death ability. That'll allow you to, when the boss does this, that will kill everybody. There's just no way around that. Unless you bring Duchess. Duchess can work very well. She can actually survive that. My Duchess can take that hit, no problem, and then revive everybody. So there are some other options, but to be safe, Revival and Death is a very good option. Now, if you do have Duchess, you could probably bring her instead of Mother Cybele, but we can test that out later on. So you'll see here that I have Elva doing that ability as soon as the first big hit goes away. So she's opening with her A1, and then the next time she's prioritizing that A2 ability, placing that block debuffs plus the increased speed. Godseeker opens with her A1 and then prioritizes that A2 ability. So now she's using that A2 to extend the increased speed and the block debuffs on all my champions, meaning that I don't know what his name is, the Sand Devil, okay? He's not going to place that decreased speed or that decreased accuracy ever, which is so helpful because you just don't want that happening. Now, Godseeker just res Geomancer. When she reses with her A3 ability, it resets the cooldown on the champion she reses skills, which is so good because now Geomancer being res by Godseeker, he has another chance to place that burn. So if he missed it the first time, here we go. We'll get another chance. However, I wish she was the only person doing the reses, but a lot of times it kind of gets messed up. The Revival and Death happens. We get a res from Elva. Godseeker's not ready for a res. We did get a back-to-back res just now. So if you have refresh accessories or anything for Godseeker, it's going to be great. The more reses she gets off, more quickly this match is going to go. Now, the one thing to mention, this could be bugged, okay? Geomancer being at 1 HP isn't a bug, I don't think. So what happens is whenever you reduce the Sand Devil's turn meter, he reduces your max HP an equivalent percentage, as far as I understand. So Geomancer's at 0% HP because he reduces the bosses by 100%. Kind of confusing, but it shows he has no HP. So one hit is going to kill him always. However, with that said, the Sand Devil, from my understanding, reads that as, okay, an enemy has 1 HP. Instead of using this A2 ability, or whatever this is called, this Dune Tempest ability, which will mess my team up, most likely, he's going to use his A1 all the time. So this could be a bug as far as the boss using the default ability versus using his cleanse plus that heal. I'm not for sure if this would ruin the team, but if it does, if the boss is released in patch notes to be fixed and actually cycling through his default A2 and A3 ability correctly, then this team may not work as consistently. Honestly, it may just fail completely. But for now, the team will never see this A2 ability being used, or at least very, very rarely. There are some small situations where this A2 ability could be used. If Geomancer is dead, the boss gets a turn, maybe. But I don't think I've ever seen it. Obviously, I've not watched all 38 matches because the team isn't the fastest. It's about 3.5 minutes, at least with Elva in the lead. It was about 3.5 to 4 minutes. Now, granted, the RSL helper says it was 4 minutes and 36 seconds on average. We did have some runs that are going to be 5 minutes plus because if things get resisted from Muckstalker, I mean, his sleep can be resisted. So if that gets resisted, if Geomancer doesn't place a burn, then the run is going to be slower. You can see here, place the sleep. Geomancer is back from Godseeker, placing that burn instantly. I absolutely love Godseeker bringing that amazing res. Now, as far as champions you can bring in place of the champions we have, I've done it with Skytouch Shaman instead of Mother Cybele. However, Skytouch is on a 4-turn cooldown with her Revival on Death, whereas Mother Cybele is on a 3-turn cooldown. So Mother Cybele is going to be much more consistent with keeping that Revival on Death up and actually working. Cardiel could possibly replace Mother Cybele. Not 100% sure. I don't know what word was about to come out, but I'm not 100% sure if he can, because he does bring an ally attack with his passive ability. You can turn off the A3, but he does join in on allies' attacks on the passive, so it could get a little bit shaky sometimes. Obviously, this match is taking longer because I paused so many times throughout, but either way, this run is actually relatively respectable, I believe. I mean, it's pretty nice. About 5 minutes with everything being paused, so on and so forth. I do think with Elva in the lead, it's actually faster. I don't think you need to crank up all the speed possible for this to actually work. Honestly, I could probably drop the speeds on some of these champions, adjust them a little bit, and the run be possibly even more consistent and quicker. Because some of the champions just cycle through abilities for no real reason. Like, it's not scientifically speed tuned to the exact number of speed, so you guys can be kind of flexible with this. I'm going to test it back and forth with Mother Cybele and Elva, but just know that the 95% run rate was with Elva in the lead, which is something super easy to change. Also, it does kind of bring a benefit with Elva in the lead, because if Elva's in the lead and your whole team gets wiped, Godseeker is going to place her passive ability, Revival on Death, on Elva, which Elva can then bring back other members of the team. So Elva may just be the best leader, especially since there's not a significant difference in their auras. So honestly, Elva just may be the route to go. Now, as far as the presets of this team, let me scroll through them real quick for you guys, and then we'll go over the gear of each one of these champions. So Mother Cybele, prioritizing her A2, turn off the A3. Godseeker, opening with the A1, prioritize the A3, and then nothing for the A2 ability. She'll just use that every time it's up, as far as I'm aware. Elva, we have her opening with the A1, we have her prioritizing the A2, because I don't really want her to use that res whenever Godseeker could res instead. However, I do want the res to be applied. I just now changed the team up a little bit. I moved some champions around, and I forgot to change her presets. I took her out of the lead. But you don't really want this turned off, because if the team does wipe, it is kind of a safety net for Elva to start resing. However, Godseeker doing her res instead is far more valuable, because Godseeker will just reset the cooldown of Geomancer, which is so helpful. So Muckstalker, opening with the A1, prioritizing that A2 ability, and then Geomancer, opening with the A1, turn off the A2, and prioritizing the A3, because Geomancer has a very weird AI. He just won't use it sometimes. I don't think it works on this boss perfectly. I haven't really tested it, to be honest, but just turn on always. You always want to use Geomancer's A3 ability, unless they say, hey, Geomancer will only use this ability if the boss is asleep, which they haven't said that yet, so I'm going to keep it the way it is for now. Now, as far as the gear on these champions, Mother Cybele needs to be faster than the boss. So whatever boss stage you're doing, 265 speed is a speed I have to be faster than, because you want to make sure that Revival and Death gets off before the boss ever takes a turn. If she doesn't, your team's just going to die before it ever gets started. That A3 ability from the boss will literally wipe your entire team. Nothing specific as far as the gear set, so do whatever you want there. Don't place Daze gear though, because that will fight with Muckstalker as far as the actual sleep goes. Her skills, we have everything fully booked, really only matters for the A2 ability. Get it down to as low of cooldown as possible. Masteries, this is what I have. This is not necessarily the best and the only option you can do, but do not place War Master on any of your champions. This will count for an extra hit on the boss's sleep counter. Same thing with Giant Slayer as far as I'm aware. So don't bring that on any of your champions. It could speed the run up if you got it perfectly speed tuned, but honestly, I think it's too risky. You're getting those double hits on the sleep counter, and the sleep counter is already very low as it is. So be very mindful. No War Master on any of the champions. I do have it on Geo. I think he's the one exception because he's going to do one or two things on the boss. He's going to do the A1, chance at War Master, or the A3. Ideally, it's the A3 every time, which is going to be no chance of War Master. So the next champion is Elva. So Elva is the second fastest champion on this team at 272 speed. She needs more HP, to be honest. I may have to change her gear up a little bit to get her to that 55,000 plus range, but unfortunately, I don't have many Sylvan Watcher accessories. She has accuracy banner. She needs no accuracy whatsoever. So as far as her books go, we have her A2 fully booked, which is probably the most important ability. That cleanse plus block debuffs, keeping that decreased speed and decreased accuracy off of us the entire time is so helpful. Her res is not fully booked. Honestly, if you can only book that A2 ability, I would just do that. You don't need the A3 booked for this area of the game. And honestly, if it's unbooked, then it would allow Godseeker to get more of the reses most likely, but it being fully booked is not a problem whatsoever. Masteries, very similar to Mother Cybele. No War Master either. Do have timely intervention. If somebody starts dropping low, they'll get some turn meter boost, and though these champions getting more turns doesn't seem to be an issue whatsoever. Next champion is Godseeker. So Godseeker is wearing some refresh accessories. The more you have, the better. You want her to be rezzing any chance she gets, which is amazing. All of her abilities are great. She has 261 speed, so faster than the boss, even basically before the speed aura counts. The speed aura, without the speed aura, she's a little bit slower, but either way, 261, perfectly fine. Good HP, good defense, no accuracy needed. Her skills, the reason why I have her slower than Elva is because she's going to use this A2 ability, extend the duration. Everything now is on a 3-turn or even 4-turn duration, and Elva is going to get very good uptime as far as the block debuffs being up, the increased speed being up, and just doing the cleanse. So you're really not going to face those debuffs ever. Godseeker also brings that amazing revive, but also a revive on her passive. However, this kind of bounces back and forth with the revival and death from like Mother Cybele, because unfortunately, even if a revival and death is already on a champion who's about to die, Godseeker's passive will still activate and still place a revival and death on a champion who already had revival and death, which doesn't really make any sense. As far as her masteries, they need to be switched. Okay, her masteries are not that good. They're nothing really specific. I need to change them. Do I got a free reset? I do have a free reset. Honestly, I'd probably do the exact same stuff as I have on Mother Cybele as well as Elva. I'm not going to change them just yet, but no, if you do want to set your Godseeker's masteries for the first time, I'll probably run something like this. Extra heals, extra turns, extra turn meter if somebody drops low on HP. So next champion, Geomancer. Geomancer and Muckstalker, I think, are the only two champions who are relatively difficult to build. Okay, so Geomancer, 248 speed. Remember, he's going to get wiped out the very first turn, and whenever he uses that A3 ability, fully reduces the turn meter, he's going to have 1 HP. So your Geomancer having 100,000 HP is actually going to be a lot worse because it could make him not die from that first hit versus him having 20,000 HP. So the only thing you need on Geomancer is good speed, ideally 250 plus, but where he's at right now, perfectly fine. 240 is probably fine too. Honestly, this could be adjusted to be more specific, but for now, 248, no issues whatsoever. The most important thing is getting the accuracy. Honestly, if you can make Geomancer just a little bit faster than Muckstalker, honestly, would it even matter? I don't know. So 220 plus should probably be good on Geomancer. You can test it out, just increase the speed if it's not working for you. But the way the presets are set up, Muckstalker doesn't use his sleep until the boss has already been woken anyways, so it may not even make much of a difference. So his accuracy is the only thing that's like super important. So the speeds probably got quite a big range, especially since he's being res so often. He starts with 50% turn meter from the Godseeker res as it is. The boss's resistance is 480, so we need 505 accuracy. We have 528. So as long as you have at least 505, you're going to be good to go. Make sure his A3 ability is booked. You're turning off the A2, and the A1 doesn't really need to be booked, but if it is, great. His masteries, this is what I have set up. You don't really need War Master though, like I said. So it is whatever you want to do there. If you want War Master, go for it. Just make sure his speed is good and his accuracy. Honestly, just make sure his accuracy is good, and you're going to be fine. Now, as far as Muckstalker, I have him at probably maybe the most difficult gear. Good HP, because you do need him to survive. 50,000, very, very important. If he dies, it's going to be a little difficult because you have 2 single target res champions, Elva plus Godseeker, and you have Revive on Death. But if both of those champions' revives are on cooldown, and they use it on, say, Godseeker, or sorry, they use it on, say, Geomancer, then Muckstalker is not going to be alive to place the sleep. It's going to make things most likely fail. So make sure he's got good HP, good defense if you can get it, good speed. 215 plus is probably going to be ideal. 224, perfectly fine. 505 accuracy, same thing. If you're doing stage 24, if you're going to drop it back and do stage 22, or whatever stage is Spirit Affinity, then you can drop that accuracy back quite a bit. Let's say, for example, we did stage 20. Stage 20 is Magic Affinity, 425 accuracy needed, 245 speed. So obviously, just scale the team back accordingly. If you want to do stage, I think 17 is another really good stage. Let's see, stage 17 is Magic Affinity. So there we go, 365 accuracy needed and 230 speed. So this scales very, very well. If you want to do stage 11 for whatever reason, 200 speed, 260 accuracy, you really wouldn't need very demanding stats whatsoever. So Muckstalker, he is fully booked on that A2 ability. That 2-turn sleep is so good. And the masteries, got that extra accuracy. Honestly, I don't need that. I can change up his gear, maybe take out the perception, maybe add some reflex gear. Some refresh gear would actually be possibly solid on him, because I think the only time this run fails, and the reason why I've debated on actually adding refresh or reflex, is because if he resets the cooldown of that A2 and then uses it back to back, it could possibly mess things up, because the boss has a 1-turn duration on sleep anyways. But the only time this run actually fails is if Muckstalker misses the sleep, the boss doesn't get his A3 ability cooldown increased, and then he just uses the A3 pretty early. I think it's the only time it fails. So placing the refresh, placing the reflex could help the consistency of this run, but I've been a little bit on the fence about if I actually wanted to try that or not. I'll probably try it later on. I'll let you guys know if it changes anything. But here we are. This is the team. This is the build. If you guys have any questions, leave it down below. Mix of the champions however you feel. With a few, obviously, you can't really do it however you feel. There's a few champions you could possibly change. Godseeker may not be 100% needed. The res is very nice. I'd probably bring another champion who has a single target res. Godseeker is really good though. Mother Cybele is probably the champion who's going to be the easiest replaced. A champion with a low turn Revive on Death AoE. Skytouch Shaman can do it, but it's 75% run rate, 75% consistent, which I don't really like. She does need immunity gear. If you're going to do her, she does need immunity, because she'll place that fear on herself at the very beginning, and if it activates, the run's over. If it doesn't activate, then you're possibly going to be fine. But Mother Cybele has a lower cooldown. Cardiel could replace Mother Cybele for sure, because he brings that 3-turn Revive on Death as well, which is perfectly fine, though it may be a little bit weird with him joining in on ally attacks. But guys, with that said, hope you all enjoy this team. Best of luck to you all on actually running this dungeon and getting you some potions for your gear upgrades. And if you guys have any questions, if you have any team suggestions, definitely let me know down in the comment section below. I'm going to try to keep it to a 95% plus consistent team, and then ideally 5 minutes and below. I don't really, honestly, I'm not going to be farming if the run's 11, 12, 14, 15, 20 minutes long. That's a little ridiculous, to be honest, for I think majority of players. 15-minute run overnight, you're getting what, like 36 runs done overnight? That's so bad. So you guys let me know what you want to see. Thank you all very much for watching the video, and I'll catch you all in the next one.